The question is the motion be agreed to, and I call the member for Dawson.
Thank you very much, Mr Deputy Speaker. And firstly, can I pay tribute to the member for Capricornia for bringing this motion forward with the support from myself and the member for Flynn. Thank you to the member for Perth for her comments in support of these concerns that we have. In 2011, by way of history, the then Bligh Labor government approved a BMA application for a 100% fly-in, fly-out operation at two new mines, Cavill Ridge and Dornier, both in the central Queensland region. The only way you can work in either of those operations, which are now in effect today, is to get on a plane from either Brisbane or Cairns and fly in for work. And by way of example, one thing that I heard directly from the member for Capricornia that was recounted to me a few times by other organisations is a family that actually lived 15 minutes from a mine site out in Moranbah. They've got to, in order to get that job now and retain that job, the worker goes to the Moranbah airport, flies down to Brisbane, gets on another plane in Brisbane, flies back to the Moranbah airport, gets on a bus, drives past the family home, stays in the mining camp for a week, and is not allowed in that time that he's there to actually go back and see the family. Now, that local town has been devastated by those sort of practices. There is no confidence there. There is extreme fears for the future, and families who still have employment fear that their kids will be unlikely to get jobs there in the future. And so that precedent set by the former Labor government was very dangerous. It has now set the new norm, and I do acknowledge that the policy continues with the support of the state LNP government. Now, in Mackay, in my electorate, it's been very much geared around servicing the mining sector, and there's a lot of mining jobs there. There have been more than 8,000 jobs, though, that have been lost in recent years in the region from the mining sector and the mining service sector, while in Moranbah there's something like 200 vacancies in terms of rental properties. In Mackay, it's well over 1,000. More than that, just last month, Ergon Energy reported that there were almost 2,500 properties in Mackay where the power was switched off at the owner's request. Homes sitting vacant. They're not homes that include people who have unpaid bills. They are just homes where they are completely vacant, and that is unbelievable if you know the history of Mackay's vacancy rates, that it's gone to that level so quickly. So there have literally been thousands of families that have left their homes in Mackay because the region has had to bear the brunt of this downfall in the mining sector. We had to bear some of the pain through the boom, but we were making money then, we could deal with it. But you know, when the boom was on, there was an issue of homelessness because there wasn't enough properties. There were people living in tents, and shipping containers and cars, and rents being paid out in Moranbah of $4,000 a week, but they're being paid by people that could afford it because of their mining wages. Now, this reverse has caused greater hardship that cannot be addressed. There are simply no benefits, and again I say what's happening now sets a dangerous precedent. The community, the business community, has absolutely no confidence. Now, this is a legacy of a decision that was made by the previous state Labor government, who allowed that 100% fly-in, fly-out, which is why when I hear the complaints coming from a local state Labor member who was actually a cabinet minister, Mr Tim Mulherron, in that government, attacking the decision now, I think, goodness me, you know, where were you in the cabinet room when that was made? And you know, people like that should be actually giving some sort of apology to the region for letting this actually happen. I believe that 100% fly-in, fly-out is a cancer, and we had a report that was tabled last year in this parliament, done by the Regional Australia Committee, Cancer of the Bush or Salvation for Our Cities, and it'll be interesting to see the government recommendations to that report, which is coming out very soon. I see the former minister here in the room, and I hope that he's going to address the fact as to why he didn't give a response to that report during his time in government. You were a minister for regional development for a while there, and there was simply no report, no response from him. But most importantly, Mr Deputy Speaker, BMA is riding roughshod over the communities that have supported them. BMA don't need to keep with this policy. They can drop it and they can do the right thing by the communities by not having 100% fly in and fly out.
Order the members'